This is the future. This is not the past.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
It's still football, but it's professional football reimagined.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun.
This is the XFL!
Welcome, football fans. This is the week of June 10th, 2018. This is the road to 2020, and this is the XFL show. I'm Alan.
Jake.
And I'm Vince.
And this week we're talking about how the L in XFL now stands for luck. This is episode 19. Commissioner Oliver Luck. We have a commissioner for the XFL this week, you guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's official. Some real legit news coming out of this, this XFL outfit.
Very legit.
It's exciting times.
The L word of the day is not just luck, it is also legit, because that's the number one thing I think of with this announcement, Vince.
Legit commish.
Yeah, we're gonna be discussing, how we feel about this gentleman, what his credentials are, where he's been, what he might do. But this is a name that all football fans know who he is. This wasn't, some guy who, had been spending the last 20 years of his life, managing, chains of Walgreens or fast food restaurants or some other conglomerate. This guy has been involved in football operations for quite some time. And, love him or hate him, he's got the experience, and he's going to be leading this horse. He's driving this train.
I don't really know if there's many people who hate Oliver Luck. He seems to be like one of the most well-respected guys in all of football, pro or college. He's, of course, also Andrew Luck's dad. We're going to give you a little background on Oliver Luck as well. We're going to go over some of the latest from the AAF and some things that Oliver Luck has said about the AAF in competition with the XFL, and a whole lot of stuff Oliver Luck said because he was on Pro Football Talk this week with Mike Florio in a very, very open interview that we're going to kind of run through. But before we get to any of that, guys, let's hear straight from Oliver Luck. This is the announcement that was put up on XFL.com this week.
Football has been a constant in my life for more than 40 years, and I am thrilled to have the unique opportunity to reimagine the game. I'm excited to present a dynamic version of America's favorite sport. Like you, I want a fast-paced, high-energy, authentic, yet simpler game. And we intend to deliver that and so much more. Our games will be affordable for the entire family. And our teams, players, and coaches will be a source of pride for local communities around the country. Just last week, we distributed our proposal to 30 markets across the U.S. And we are working hard to select the right homes for our inaugural 8 teams in 2020. This will be a labor of love as I get to combine my experiences as a football player and a football executive to create something that fuels your passion and makes you proud to be a fan of the XFL. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. What do you guys think of that announcement standing in front of that big red, white, and blue logo?
America's favorite sport. Maybe not the biggest business, Vince, but America's favorite sport, clearly.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Oliver Luck, he's making a big jump too, because he was basically the number 2 man at the NCAA, way high up there, and now he's going really for the gusto. It seems like he's trying to. This is a legacy type career move for a career executive, isn't it, Vince?
It's a legacy move. I mean, you could also look at it as possibly a stepping stone type of deal. If he does a good job here, and Roger Goodell would ever step down, you got to think that they might be calling this guy. With work he may potentially do leading a football league.
Yeah, that's also something to consider. You're right. And actually, that's something I haven't even really thought of just yet. He does have a lot of work to do with the XFL, but you got to believe somewhere down the line, Oliver Luck would have aspirations to be the most powerful man in all of football, with replacing maybe Roger Goodell. And there's been talk about maybe one day there being an NCAA commissioner, and he might have been in line for that. But for now, he's with the XFL. Here he is. Who exactly is Oliver Luck, you ask? Besides just being Andrew Luck's father, Jake, you have some information on the new XFL commissioner for us?
I do. I have some bullet points on his resume here that I wanted to read for.
That's Pennsylvania for resume, everybody. That's how Jake says that word, but go ahead.
And so Oliver Luck, or Ollie, as I know him, quarterback at West Virginia University. Not starting on the high notes, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He was a Rhodes Scholar finalist while he was at the university. Played for the Houston Oilers from 82 to 86. Fun fact, drafted before Jim McMahon. He was also a Republican nominee for Congress. He did not win that one. He was also the general manager of the Frankfurt Galaxy and the Rhine Fire before the league president of NFL Europe before they folded. Held multiple NFL positions. He was the president of the MLS Houston Dynamo, where they won 2 titles there. Back to the AD of West Virginia. And then NCAA-wise, he was chosen. He was, one of the first, I believe, 13 individuals chosen to select the teams for the first college football playoff. So a lot of good credibility there.
He was the commission. He was the chairman of that, I believe.
Was he really?
For at least 1 year he was.
Okay. And then I guess this next position was, something that, didn't exist before, but made for him the NCAA Executive Vice President of Regulatory Affairs until our present day, where not only is he the XFL commissioner, but he's also the CEO of the league.
Yes, he is the chief executive officer of the XFL. He's the commissioner. He is now the face of the XFL, and that's why I think the number one reason Vince McMahon went after Oliver Luck I wish. Could you imagine what this was like? Vince McMahon pitching the league to Oliver Luck, selling this well-respected man, a guy you really. I'm gonna flat out say 5 months ago when they announced that the XFL was returning, I bet you if we told anybody in the know that Oliver Luck is going to be the XFL's commissioner and CEO, they probably would have been laughed at. This is a serious football lifer, a serious football guy, and for the XFL to land him as the new face of the league, as the man putting it all together, with Vince McMahon as kind of the money and the founding father, this is a huge coup for the league. Biggest and best XFL news ever, at least since we found out Tommy Maddox was going to be in the first league.
You can say that he is the face that runs the place right now of the XFL, and it is very trustworthy, I believe, also.
And you talk about surprise of him, getting this position. Him taking the position is also a little bit of a surprise for me. You said it second in command in the NCAA. That means he had to have been making some serious money. Especially for all he's done in the football operations there. Do you think he took a pay cut to be the CEO of the XFL?
I don't know. I don't think so by much, because you're going to hear later on when we're going to play you some of the highlights from his Oliver Luck's interview on Pro Football Talk this week. He said that it's a well-funded venture, so I'm sure he's being compensated properly. And also, this is going to be, I'm telling you, something that if this is successful, Oliver Luck's name is going to live on in infamy as one of the all-time football names. And I think he's just trying to step out of his son's shadow, obviously. That's what's going on here, right, guys? No, not at all. Oliver Luck, it's really, you can't find, if you could look, you could try. I did. You're not going to find many people saying this is a bad move at all. On any comment section or on social media.
I'm not going to say it's a bad move, but it's a little perplexing to me. I mean, can this man be trusted? Vince McMahon, talk about a lot of having Vince McMahon talking about integrity,
Just the quality of the play.
and quality and things of that ilk. And, this guy came from running a renegade program at West Virginia to probably the most corrupt organization in America in the NCAA. And now he finds himself with the XFL. I mean, this guy, he's made a career on, sweeping things under the rug. And now, he's here with the XFL. They talk about, guys are going to get, thrown out of the league for DUIs and things like that. Is he going to be willing to do that? Because it certainly has not happened in the past.
Are you one of these truthers, Vince, that thinks he's there to, to undermine the league from the inside?
I'm not saying that.
Are you like Bryant? Is he this week?
Everyone's out to get Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon will not be swindled. Obviously, we have we kind of lean anti WVU on this show. As you're listening to two Pitt grads and one Pitt dropout, but
I don't think any of them have the electronic capability to even listen to the show. So
yes,
maybe one day they'll get enough electricity down.
That's a fun conspiracy theory we could maybe look at for a fun conspiracy theory episode.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this is a conspiracy. I'm just a little surprised. Yeah, I would have thought.
If anything, it's great because he's great at not getting caught. That's the exact kind of guy you want.
That is this kind of guy right here.
Yeah. So if you're looking at it from that kind of negative perspective, it's also a huge victory for the XFL, and now things can move along. Vince McMahon is still heavily involved in WWE. We didn't talk too much about it, but you had to think he was going to get some people in place, but I didn't expect it to be one man. Oliver Luck is the man. The XFL is now kind of, it's Vince McMahon's baby, of course, but Oliver Luck is the man that it's all now kind of riding on. Him getting this together, and he's now got the ball moving on finding the 8 cities. I don't know if you saw the picture at XFL 2020 on Twitter, their account. They put out the picture of all the iPads, Jake. Did you see this? All the iPads being sent out to 30 cities.
I feel like that was a little overkill. Couldn't they have just, sent them a notebook or something? Did they really need to send out iPads for these proposals on?
Well, that's just how you let a city know that you're interested in its respect.
Maybe that's how you do big business these days. I don't know. Call me old-fashioned.
Also, I think these iPads turn off after a certain amount of time if they have to get their proposals into them and shipped back to Stamford, Connecticut before these explode. Yes. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute when we play that Oliver Luck sound from his Pro Football Talk interview. But this week, also on Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio, Charlie Ebersol made sure that he was out there as the XFL had big news. He wanted to also show face for the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, and he had a few interesting things to say. And of course, this is the XFL show, and we're always talking XFL. Follow us on all social media at XFL Show. That's the name. But we are talking about the other alternative football league every week because they are kind of, they're going to lean on each other in terms of press and comparisons, and they're going to be compared until one of them folds. That's just the fact. And this week, I started to think, I think the winner of this war, if there is one, will be the league with the better video game, Vince.
Video games are important.
Video games
are important. There's no doubt about that, especially in today's day and age. I don't know. Are they going to be using like some sort of frostbite engine that's used in Madden?
Whatever. I'd really like to see Acclaim get back in the game.
Yes, XFL quarterback club is what I'm hoping for. But Charlie Ebersol was on Pro Football Talk. He didn't say anything about video games, but he talked about apps, and he said that fans want gambling, but they don't want it in the traditional sense like you do in Vegas. With how gambling is going to be legalized, now it is in Delaware now and more states to come. He says people want it to be a more gamified version. I don't know exactly what that means, but I have to believe it involves more of a fantasy aspect and an immediate type of betting on your team and betting maybe even from an AAF app, as we've talked about, for an XFL app. He talked about gambling in the AAF and will be a big part of their digital presentation. So that kind of is something we've heard already. He said also he's working on the league 36 hours a day. If Charlie Ebersol's working 36 hours a day on the AAF, Vince, how many hours a day do you think Vince McMahon's working on the XFL?
Oh, my goodness. Probably 3 times that.
Charlie Ebersol also said that he recognizes that the NFL is a bigger stage and likened it to the MLS with the Premier League in Europe, and said that it will be a positive relationship between the AAF and the NFL. And I don't know if you guys have read or heard about this, but the AAF is kind of structuring their league so that it is going to be easy for a player to go through an AAF season and potentially land on an NFL roster right after that. But he was asked about players leaving mid-season for an NFL offseason program, and the policy on that is not yet settled. If they're talking about being very player-friendly, don't you think they have to give a player that option?
I mean, I guess they could give them the option, but, clearly the NFL is going to pay, even a fourth-string NFL player, I would think is going to make more than somebody would play for the AAF all season long. So I don't know where that dilemma could, feasibly come into play.
Well, they could be restricted. Maybe if you sign an AAF contract, you're not allowed to leave until the season's over. It sounds like that might be something they're considering. If you're saying you're all about the players and giving them options and giving them opportunity, Vince, don't you think that they should be afforded the chance to leave an AAF season for an NFL offseason program?
I suppose, but I mean, if you sign the contract, then you should be playing for the full length of the season.
I don't know how the league and the fan are going to take, how they're going to take these players going into business for themselves, in the middle of a season.
And that would make it a true minor league system if that's the case. If you're allowing players an option to go up, that makes the AAF basically an unofficial minor league. So that's a big decision he said that they're going to kind of go over in the fall. That was the really interesting part of his interview with Mike Florio that I heard, Charlie Ebersol. And also he said flat out, players will not be eligible straight out of high school. They will mimic the 3 years out NFL policy. What do you think of that, Vince?
I still think that's good for the game. You could hear, a lot of people say, oh, if you could go, fight in a war, you should be able to play football. And, I think there's some truth to that. But I think in terms of player safety, I think in terms of, just adapting to a professional, athlete lifestyle, I think it's best to keep them and let them develop. I think it'll be better for the quality of the play.
It's the quality of the play.
That's very important. And, the older you are, most likely, the better quality you're going to get out of it. So I think that's good. And I think you're going to play it a little bit later on. Oliver Luck stance on that. Did not commit one way or the other, I believe.
Yeah, it's interesting because most of the time a 17, 18-year-old going head-to-head with a 25-year-old is just way unfair, not a developed body. But every now and then you do get a DeAndre Ayton, LeBron James, or yours truly, Vince. So people like us coming out of high school, we're the size of 30-year-old men. Well, in my case, a 45-year-old man. But, Jake, obviously, most of the time, this isn't something that should be happening. 18-year-olds going toe-to-toe with grown men.
I'm almost going to disagree with you guys and say I think it would be a fun experiment to see what would happen.
You want to experiment with the physical health of a young man who just became a man?
If you're not good enough, to make the team at 18 years old, or if you're going to get, run over, if you're fragile or weak, then they're not going to pick you up. I think I'd like to see him try it.
Yeah,
maybe,
but still,
maybe it would go horribly wrong.
Yeah, but that's not exactly what's going down. Is what's happening is what you would see is a lot of potential there, and teams would maybe want to wrap up a player because they know that eventually they're going to be able to perform, but then they're going to have to be going for practice with these grown-ass men.
Almost a red shirt or something.
I mean, there are so many offensive linemen who are still baby-faced and not even fully grown into their bodies, but they're still 300-plus pounds, 6'8", but still kids and fragile. And if a team sees this kid doesn't want to go to college, but they put him on their roster and he's going through a program going against grown-ass defensive ends, it could be kind of an ugly situation. It's an interesting debate, but Charlie Ebersol is siding with the NFL. That's also probably a part of them trying to keep a relationship with the NFL, and we'll see how the XFL goes about doing that. But that was just some of the highlights that Charlie Ebersol talked about with Mike Florio, and also the Alliance of American Football has one city to go. They are 7 cities down, 1 left, and they'll have their full 8-city league. So far, 4 in the South, 3 in the West. Got to believe that last city's in the West again, right?
Well, I believe in that interview, Mr. Ebersol said that, they know internally where the last city is going to be. Is that correct? Does anybody else remember that?
Yeah, the last city's determined, but it's funny, he said there are cities that are reaching out to them now that want to be a part of it.
Yeah, he did. So I don't know if they would want to reconsider that last spot or possibly add 2 more teams. That sounds like a bit of a gamble, but I don't know. I think it has to be a big market wherever they're going for.
Prediction, where you think that city's going to be, Jake?
New York City.
Vince?
I guess that sounds like a good option. I could certainly see that. Yeah, I'll say New York.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be Portland, Oregon. Heard Ebersol talking a lot about the MLS there. I think he has a fondness for MLS cities, and Portland's a big MLS city. That's my prediction.
So who they have here? They got Atlanta, Birmingham, Memphis, Orlando,
Salt Lake, Phoenix,
Tempe, yeah, San Diego.
I think that's
1 city
7,
left.
Right?
Yep, and 1 city left.
Now that I think about it, I'm going to say San Antonio, Texas.
Great fans.
That's a good one.
That's what I'm going to say.
The XFL has sent iPads to 30 cities to get their proposals together. I don't know. We don't know what any of them are. We just know that one of them is not Morgantown, West Virginia. Oliver Luck said it was not. They would not be going to Morgantown for sure. So you could rest easy, Vince.
Well, I don't know if I would care or not. I don't know.
The Morgantown couches, the Morgantown couch burners, maybe.
I think that idea is about to go up in flames.
Well, that's everything we've got lined up here, and now we can get to this great Oliver Luck interview, guys. If you guys are ready, I'm ready to hear from Oliver Luck directly. He sat down for a long interview with Mike Florio. We've got some of the highlights here for everybody. Vince, did you hear this interview?
Yes, I did.
Jake, did you?
I was having some technical difficulties. I did not get to.
Oh, you did? Well, good thing our crack staff here at This Is the XFL show was able to cut up some of the best stuff from here. And so we're able to give you all killer, no filler here on the XFL show. This is the XFL show talking Oliver Luck, the new XFL commissioner. Sat down with Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk on his podcast. And the first thing they asked him, Oliver Luck, was why he is going from the NCAA to the XFL.
The fact that this is a well-capitalized venture, I said to myself, this is a really neat opportunity. And although I, as you know, Mike, I love college athletics. I'm a big fan of what all of our institutions do. But this was very special, and I think it was an opportunity I just couldn't pass up. So I think all the ingredients are here to when we launch in 2020 to offer great football, to build a good business. And that's very attractive.
It was a very attractive offer. It was a lot of capital.
Made him a deal he couldn't refuse, and it's potentially a risk, leaving that cozy big money NCAA job that he had to go to a league that I think people still think of a negative connotation, something that they'd maybe crack a joke at and take seriously again.
And let's face it, Oliver Luck is literally a politician. He's a lawyer. So he's good at kind of feeding you what you want to hear or a good company line, good at saying something without really saying anything. So reading between the lines on a lot of these highlights we're going to play, what do you read between the lines there, Vince? Why do you think the number one reason Oliver Luck chose the XFL, what do you think that is?
I could see it. I guess at this point I can't see it being a money thing. I think he's got to be looking at this as a step to something bigger, just another resume builder and, something of that nature.
That makes some sense, but man, he's already got one of the most impressive resumes you possibly could have.
Well, that NCAA job, there's a lot to be proud of there. There's no doubt about that. So I could sort of see it, but I don't know what he's got in mind down the road.
I'm going with the legacy angle. I think this is he could go down as a Mount Rushmore of kind of guy. If the XFL ends up being successful, to be a part of the people who built it. The
Mount Rushmore of the XFL.
I mean, to be up there with Vince McMahon and Tommy Maddox and he hate me is a big opportunity. That's kind of what it's unique. It's something. It's maybe he was bored, and that too could have been bored. This is exciting.
Well, I don't know if he was. But
it might be. It's almost like he's had a great marriage with a lady everybody likes, but you know what? She's just a little bit older. And you know what? Oliver Luck still has raging testosterone, and he got a hot young wife. He left her for a hot young wife named the XFL. That's what I think happened here, Jake.
I don't know. It's possible, but I mean, if you're looking for a resume builder, where do you go from here? I think the only place is what? General manager. It has to be something in the NFL, I guess, if we're saying this is a stepping stone to something else.
Now, if you had to guess, Jake, do you think Oliver Luck hit up the XFL first, or did they go at him first?
I'm going to say they came after him. I mean, this sounded like a pretty cushiony, job that he had going here. I don't know if you'd want to go away from that unless you were approached.
Well, you would be correct. That's exactly what he said when asked about who contacted who first.
No, so they reached out to me. I had met Vince years ago, but it was didn't really have a relationship with him. So I spent some time with him and some of the senior executives. I was impressed, quite honestly, with their passion, with their leadership, with the vision that they have. And again, it's not often that an opportunity like this, comes along for someone like me who has a real deep passion for the game and has immense respect for the game. Now, this is going to be challenging, no question about it. But that's also part of the attraction. So that's how really that whole thing came together was folks on Vince's side reaching out to me.
Again, I just want to know what Vince McMahon, what that pitch was. How did he pitch Oliver Luck? It's the XFL. It's a new league, and you're the face and the man in charge. The power. Something like that, maybe.
Like that, you probably should say the word pal a lot more.
Now, hey, pal. I don't know. I don't think Vince McMahon's pitch to Oliver Luck was the same as it was to maybe like Darren Drozdoff, Jake. I don't know.
It's probably a little different. There probably wasn't a garbage can involved. But who knows?
They reached out to him, and I think with all the hires that the AAF has with all their people in place, a lot of well-respected people, I think Vince McMahon won up Charlie Ebersol in this regard. Bill Napoleon's very respected, yeah, but not as active and quite frankly older. I think Oliver Luck is a superior hire to anybody the AAF has gotten yet. And the AAF has gotten impressive people.
Even coaching.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. Bigger, better hire than
this is
everybody in the front office.
Yeah, but is this a bigger news headline than Spurrier to AAF?
No. I don't.
Outside of, I don't know. It depends on what state you're in, I think.
Yeah.
If you're in the Southeast, then I'd say no.
Yeah, it's more impactful than Spurrier, but in terms of talking about it and the coverage, people are going to be covering Steve Spurrier a lot if he keeps saying crazy stuff, and he is doing it right now. Still talking trash about Georgia. They talked about on Pro Football Talk. Oliver Luck talked about the city proposals being sent out recently, and that is kind of the next step for him.
There's timelines attached to those proposals, and so one of my most important priorities is to move that process along as quickly as we can and make decisions about the 8 markets that we're going to be in for the 2020 launch. So that's still a number of months away. I can't give you a more specific timeline than that, but the process certainly has already begun. And there's been a bunch of research, really going back to probably the fall of 17, that Vince and sort of a team of consultants have engaged in, fan research, demographic research, segmentation, all the geography. So we've got a good bit of research to help guide us in these decisions.
That sounds to me like they have a top 8 list. They have the cities that they're hoping they get good proposals from, with the research he said going back to last fall, Vince.
Yeah. It sounds like they do have a plan. We've obviously speculated on it for quite some time, but it sounds like they probably have an ideal 8 cities, but they got some backup plans too.
Do you think they're far enough along? Because I think they are. They're confident of who they're going to get, that they already have people drafting logos and jerseys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think
that's what it sounds like to me.
I think there are cities they're hopeful that it could work out with, but I don't know if anything. It sounds like definitely nothing's in place yet, but we'll see. Who knows if what was in with those iPad packages? Maybe when they sent one to Los Angeles, there was maybe like a few $100 bills in there for the mayor. I don't know.
Do you think it was pre-installed with like the WWE trading card game?
Yeah, free WWE Network for
free 5,000 coins.
Oliver Luck also asked about the Alliance of American Football, and he said flat out, "We're gonna do us. We're not worrying about them.
We're going to focus, in a very singular fashion on what we think is appropriate for the league, and not really spend time worrying about what any other group may be doing."
That was pretty blunt.
Yeah, you got a lot of different groups out there, and you can only worry about your group at this point.
Eversol's group.
Yeah.
Goodell's group. You got McMahon's group.
Emirates group.
And they're going to do them. What football groups do you think you would worry about the most if you were a part of a football group?
I mean, this McMahon group sounds like, it's really picking up some steam here.
Who's the commissioner of that Southeast group? What's his name? Alan, you know who I'm talking about.
You're talking about the SEC group?
Yeah.
Oh, well, not Mike Slive. He died. Greg Sankey.
Yeah, that's whose group I think you got.
Football groups. Sounds like a whole nother podcast we need to start.
We got to keep moving on here. We're like,
XFG.
Oliver Luck talking with Mike Florio. And what is the new XFL all about, Vince? What's the number one thing it's about?
Yeah, it's just about being innovative.
No, come on. What does Vince McMahon say it's about? What's it about, damn it?
It's about
come on, pal.
The game of football.
No. Jake, help him out.
It's the quality of the game.
It's the quality of the play.
And Oliver Luck is tooting that same mantra on Pro Football Talk, talking about how, at least for this football group, it is all about football.
We're very focused on producing a high level of play. We believe that football is popular because people understand it in many cases in this country and want to make sure that we're offering a great level of play. I think our business plan is solid. I think the capital structure and that money, of course, is coming from Vince, who's got an incredible passion for the game. I think that's solid. So all in all, I think that lessons were learned from the original league. And also, I think at the end of the day, Mike, it's a little bit of a different era in the sense of technology and what we have available, both from a health and safety standpoint for players, for coaches in terms of competition on the field, for practice, for fan engagement. So I think it's almost a different world if you think about what was around 2001 versus today. And I think that's going to be a real benefit for us. And it is for lots of the professional leagues that are trying to figure out how to better integrate technology into their daily activities.
He kind of alluded to the quality of the play is going to be better because there's more money this time around, maybe going into the XFL. I don't know if that's. I guess that might be true, or maybe it's easier to get money to players because of the digital aspect. It's not going to be a big network hand grabbing a big chunk of the pie this time around. The XFL is going to be able to be digitized, and then the pool of players. Would you say there are more decent football players in 2018 than there were in 2001, Vince?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's a better crop of players, and I think we also are able to identify more players because of the day and age we live in. You're going to hear Oliver Luck, I think, said the same here. We're playing that in a second, but Jake, do you think so?
I mean, I think it's definitely easier to see, everyone who is out there and all their stats and what they bring to the table. That's definitely for sure. I mean, from that clip, it sounded like, he was saying people, there's more people that are smartened up to the business of pro football now than there were, 17 years ago or whatever.
That's for sure. And Oliver Luck seems to agree with me that there are also more football players that are playing at a higher level, so there's a bigger pool of talent out there.
I really think we can put together a structure that will guarantee a relatively high level of play. Pairing good players, and I think they're out there, pairing good players with really good coaches and good training techniques and rules that make sense, but still being football, because at the end of the day, football is still football. That's what fans want to see. I think it gives us a real opportunity when we launch in 2020 to have a high-quality game, and that's ultimately what fans want to see. Make it affordable and provide the quality, and I think that's going to help us enormously.
Yeah, and also providing the teams, enough prep time before kickoff to become a team and work together, something that the XFL, was unable to produce in the original incarnation.
I am really excited for this because I watch as much football as possible. As we speak, I'm watching a CFL preseason game right now. And I know a lot of these players because I watch them play in college. Now, the Canadian guys, I have no clue who some of these guys are. But they do have a lot of American players, and if you follow American college football, you will follow players into the AAF, into the XFL, and through to the NFL. And I think there are more guys like that, and you just know them simply because we live in the digital age of Twitter and Facebook and more coverage at the college level and high school level too, Vince.
Yeah, guys, players can make names for themselves at a very young age. And, if you got a magnetizing personality about you, people are going to follow you, after your college career, regardless of what group you end up in.
Yeah, this is going to be really good for the Uncle Ricos of the world, right? The guys who had to end their football playing days at high school, they're going to maybe have more opportunity to go pursue their dreams. If you didn't win state, it doesn't end there.
You couldn't play in college, but damn it, you were able to make it in the XFL.
Well, who knows? But you can maybe you'll try to go play in college, or maybe at the community college level and pursue it.
Community college.
Yeah. So any prospective XFL players out there, get a tripod and a cheap video camcorder at a flea market this summer and set it up.
Yeah, just show yourself doing vertical jumps. And
show me what you're doing.
See what happens.
Hey, my name is Alan, and this is my XFL tryout video. And then I'm just going to set that to some badass Karate Kid music and just show me out in the field doing football things.
Well, it's
running tires.
You've often been criticized for not taking that opportunity to play fullback for the Rams whenever you had the chance. Now, maybe Spurrier is going to come calling, and you can play fullback in his system.
I'm going to show him what I could do with tires. I'm going to flip tires, run through tires, throw through tires.
Just a video of you hitting a tire with a sledgehammer.
Hell yeah. I hope that becomes a meme. People with their XFL tryout videos. There are no tryouts yet for XFL teams, and there are no rules yet either. Oliver Luck asked about what rules were in place, mechanical and actual detailed rules for the game, the sport of football, the brand of football the XFL will play. He gave a flat-out answer that there's nothing yet. Still in the reimagining phase.
No, that's very exciting. I'm immensely looking forward to that. But none of the sort of specific decisions that have been made. I can tell you two things we won't be doing. One of which is the scramble, from the original XFL, and then the no fair catch rule as well will not be in place. Those are things that I think Vince feels very strongly about, based on sort of his, again, clear-eyed analysis of the original XFL.
That's a bummer, no scramble, Jake.
I'm actually glad there's not going to be a scramble.
Yeah, most people are. But, hey, if that's what it takes to become respected and considered legitimate, I'm all right with giving up the scramble, I guess.
Maybe for the All-Star game, I wouldn't mind seeing it come back.
Yeah, skills competition.
Yeah.
Scramble. Also, that goes in, with the safety aspect. This is 2018. Football is the most violent of the sports, unless you're talking combat sports, and safety is of paramount concern for everybody, including the XFL. And Mike Florio flat out asked Oliver Luck, will the XFL take an old school approach, or are they a part of the safety revolution as well? And some of you old schoolers might not like the answer.
Football, at the end of the day, is still football, and obviously, it's a physical game. It's a contact sport, collision sport, and I think those fans that enjoy that contact and collision, they'll see that. But we are committed, to making sure the game is as safe as it can be for our players.
Kind of talking out of both sides there. Didn't give a definitive answer, but in that long answer that we had to cut a little bit shorter there, Jake, Oliver Luck first said safety is the number one concern. I think with Oliver Luck on board, that kind of signals that we're not going to get 1980s football here. Crop tops and head-to-head collisions. We'll not be getting that.
Well, we may get crop tops. I don't think that's been ruled out.
I mean, I'm going to sound like a jerk for saying this, but I want old school football over safety.
Do you really?
I do, and I think there's a large portion of the audience out there that feels the same way. But Maybe they're a little uncomfortable verbalizing that.
They don't want.
I really think you get them. You get them in the right setting, and I think it's going to come out.
Yeah, if you talk to any of these guys in a bar, and they'll tell you they're savages that want to see some old school football, but then you get them on a radio show. Nobody wants old school football anymore. Everybody wants safety for the players. I know what you're saying, Jake. It makes sense, but the head of the league can't be saying that.
No. The face or the league itself can, but football. How is football still going to be football with all these, additional safety rules?
It can still be. This is going to be football reimagined, though. I can't stress that enough. This is going to be a different game. It almost has to be a different game.
Earning timeouts, 7-on-7.
I seriously think 7-on-7 is a real possibility. Especially, maybe a smaller field, maybe only 60 yards long. You look at the success of rugby sevens right now, and that's maybe something you got to capitalize on. Okay, this could be very different. He's the reason why he's talking out of both sides of his mouth right now is because he doesn't know maybe exactly where they're going. But this is going to be different. I promise you that.
They had no answers on that front, and that's probably the number one question we're all asking, even more so than the cities, is really what the hell does football reimagined mean? Still, even with Oliver Luck on board, he wasn't revealing anything, but that's a very good job by him because you don't want to let a cat out of the bag that shouldn't be let out of the bag.
Do you think that they should just have the first game and nobody knows what the rules are or anything?
Figure them out as you go.
Well, no, the players know, and the referees and the coaches know, but the fans won't know until the first game. How exciting would that be?
Welcome to the game, everybody. Just wait and see what goes on. What are they doing here? They're apparently kicking the ball off, but I don't know why he's kicking it with his heel. Is that a rule? I don't know.
There's a flag on the field. We're not sure what the ruling is.
Oh man. Oliver Luck asked about what the relationship with the NFL will be for the XFL, and this is a very interesting answer. Very different from 2001.
What we believe we can do, what our market is, what our strategy and our tactics are, and I'll leave it at that. We hope to have a friendly relationship with not only the National Football League, but all the other sports leagues.
Friendly with the NFL, is that possible?
There is going to be zero relationship with the NFL. Why would the NFL want anybody else to, gain any of their profits?
Well, it's not. It doesn't have to be that. It could be maybe a relationship in terms of feeding talent to the NFL, being a minor league, being a supplemental place for maybe to have an affiliation with teams, then grow talent.
But how does that benefit How does that benefit the NFL?
Because the NFL,
they want.
The NFL wants a minor league system. They just don't want to have to. They don't want to have to. Yeah, but they want one that goes further because you want to be able to groom players in their 20s and maybe even their early 30s. You want to have a place like that where you could find your Kurt Warners.
Do they really need to?
I think it's good for the NFL. It could only benefit the NFL, especially if they aren't fronting any of the costs. That's number one.
Well, I don't think they really need a quote-unquote feeder system, beyond the college game. I mean, it's leagues are built on stars. There's no doubt about that. But if there's any, game. I mean, it's amazing that the NFL, gets, the ratings that it does when a lot of the teams don't have superstar players.
And that's just because the sport of football is so wildly popular.
Well, that's my point, is that they don't need it. They're doing quite well without it.
Yeah, but again, going back to quality of the play, wouldn't it help the NFL's quality of play even more?
Is there a problem with the quality of the play?
I mean,
the quality of play is
I think
in a lot of games is not good.
There are a lot of stew bum quarterbacks playing in the NFL
I
these
agree
days.
with you, but first of all, is it affecting, viewership and content consumption? I would say no.
Well, yeah, the ratings have gone down, but a lot of
ratings
people
have
are
gone down, but there's still, anyone would take those any day of the week.
Are you saying that, if you would send, I don't know, what's his name for, the 49ers?
Kaepernick?
No, the other one, Garoppolo. You're telling me that if you would send him down to the XFL for a few years, that he's all of a sudden going to become a superstar player? Or if you sent Nick Foles down to the XFL and then he comes back and he's an all-time great, that's not going to happen. You're either good or you're not.
No, that could happen. You get better with repetition, with playing in games for sure. Definitely at certain positions as well, especially quarterback. Maybe running back is not a position that will happen at, no. But you could see that happen with defensive backs. And you know what? It happens in soccer all the time. It happens in the NHL with their minor league system all the time. It happens in the MLB. You see guys who it clicks for later on than some people straight out of college. And it can't happen in football. You see that all the time in soccer. Players playing in lesser leagues, playing in your French leagues or playing in Russia, and then getting big fat contracts to go play in the EPL. It always happens.
I think that's just related to that game. I just think that football, specifically quarterback, just so complex, so much. A lot of it has to deal with the talent around you and the talent you're going against. It just, I just don't buy it.
I think it'd be great for the NFL. I'm sure they're interested in that. I'm sure general managers would love to see that happen. And I think the AAF or the XFL are going to be fighting hard really for that kind of relationship. Imagine if there's a system and like you're playing spring league football with the same playbook that Randy Fichtner runs, and then all of a sudden Ben goes down and the Steelers need a quarterback. And you got a guy who played in the XFL all off season. He's ready to go. You wouldn't want that?
I don't know. No. I mean, sure, send them down there, but I don't think it's going to be as big of an impact as what you're saying.
I think that a relationship with the NFL is very important for both of these leagues. Oliver Luck was also asked about the high school question we asked earlier with the AAF. Here's his answer.
Once we get our sort of football operations staff, functioning, get people in place, we'll talk about issues like that. So no decisions have been made. As you know, that's anchored in the CBA, right? The collective bargaining agreement between the union and management. And certainly at 2020, we're not expecting a unionized workforce. But that really is an issue that we haven't begun to discuss at this point.
XFL is waiting on that one, Jake. Not ready to poo-poo high school eligible players.
Yeah, not ready for a definitive decision. Like I said earlier, I think it would be an interesting experiment. It could completely, backfire, and someone could get a broken bone, on the first play. But if both sides are willing to take the risk and sign on the dotted line, I'm okay with that.
Those are your highlights from Oliver Luck's interview with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk, and I have to say I came away even more impressed than I was. I already knew who Oliver Luck was before this, but I thought he did a great job of CEOing there and being very commissioner-like. He gave answers where he could, but you could tell there were questions he was asked that he either had no information on or didn't want to reveal anything just yet. So he protected the league, and that is now his number one job, Vince.
Yeah, that's what this guy does well. Protecting logos and steering ships and
logo protector. That's great.
Yeah, that's what this guy is. He's going to be a good representative for this group. I will say that. And it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to know, what the kind of collaboration he's going to have with Mr. McMahon. Are they both going to be making a lot of decisions? Is he solely putting this in Luck's hands? It'll be interesting to see.
Final thoughts on those highlights there from Oliver Luck, Jake. What did you come away with from that?
Sounded like a great PR man right now, and I don't mean that in any negative way. But he's saying everything right, and
overall,
I like I said, I believe him on a lot of these things.
Overall, are you excited that he's the man in charge of this group?
Yes, I am.
Me too. Oliver Luck, the new XFL commissioner. Now we're cooking with gasoline, guys. That's big news. And now that there's a guy actually day-to-day working on the XFL, we know Vince McMahon does a million things. I feel like business is about to pick up. It certainly did this week. And, man, look at all we had to talk about this week. We could have debated on all of those different topics for entire shows, Vince. I'm not done with you with this XFL-NFL relationship. I'm going to have you come around to my side because I think it behooves everybody for intertwining of these leagues, but that's a debate for another day, brother.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some sort of transfer market. Maybe they'll be sending, the Birmingham team will be sending, Johnny Manziel on loan to the AFF Birmingham team.
And maybe get the CFL involved too.
Eventually he winds up with the Ravens.
I would love football, pro football, American football transfer periods. We could only hope. Anything left to say, Jake, before we get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
Let's do it. This has been episode 19. Jake said let's get out, so let's get out. We'll be back again next week to talk more XFL. Remember, you could follow us on any of the social media gimmicks you love to use at XFL Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're there. And we're talking XFL all the time with you, putting polls up, replying to your stuff, retweeting. We do it all, and we have a lot of fun. And we have a lot of fun here every Sunday morning. The show drops on Football Sunday morning, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast. This is the XFL Show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. The website, thisisthexflshow.com. I'm Alan, for Vince, for Jake, and for our new commissioner, Oliver Luck. This has been the XFL Show.